All right, good morning, geometry. This is your Module 2 practice test that I'm giving you, and this is going to be all the answers and how to get every answer. In this video, I'm going to try to put the links in the description so that way you can skip to any specific problem if you need it. But anyways, here's problem 1. So select all the angles for which HA and HE are sides. So here's ray HA, here's ray HE. So it goes from H out to E, H out to A. And we can see that that forms this angle 6 right here. So we know that 6 is correct. So that would be B. Let's see. So angle 1, no. Angle AHE. So it starts at A, goes to H, goes to E. Yeah, that would work. So yeah, that one is going to work there. So yeah, starts at A, goes to H, goes to E. That works. So AHE is correct. So C. AGE, no, because A doesn't even connect to G. EHA, yeah, that's the same thing as AHE, just reordered. So EHA, same angle. So that one does work. So E works. EGA, as I said, G and A don't connect, so that one doesn't work. And then we have HEA, which would start at H, go to E, and then out to A. But that doesn't work. That's not an angle. E does not connect to A. So it's just B, C, and E here. All right, problem number 2. So this one, in the figure, CD and CB are opposite rays. So that means that this line, BD, is a straight line. CA bisects BCE. So I have this angle BCE, and CA is going to bisect it. So that means that this is congruent to this. It may not look congruent, but it is. We have to just take their word for it. So CA is going to bisect that angle. If ECA, so ECA is this one right here, is 14x minus 2, and DCE is 9x minus 1, so this is DCE, that's 9x minus 1. Find the measure of angle ECA. So I have this 9x minus 1, I have this 14x minus 2, they're next to each other, but I don't know that they're going to add up to 180 because I have this other angle that's also on the same straight line. I can't set them equal either because I know that these two angles are congruent. So these two angles are congruent, but this one over here is not. So I can't set them equal. I can't set them equal to 180, but what I can do is I can say that if this angle in the middle is 14x minus 2, and it's congruent to this one on the side, then this one over here is also 14x minus 2. And now I have 3 things on that same straight line, and I can add all of them up to equal 180 because they're all on the same straight line with each other. So I can do 14x minus 2 plus 14x minus 2 plus 9x minus 1 equals 180. And I know they're going to add up to 180 because it's a straight line. Straight lines always add up to 180. So now we can combine like terms. So I have 14 plus 14 is 28, plus 9 is 37, so that's 37x here. And then I have negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4, minus 1 is negative 5, so 37x minus 5 is 180. Add 5, 37x equals 185. Type that in my calculator, so 185 divided by 37. And I'm getting, wait, oh, I typed that in wrong. Okay, 185 divided by 37 is just 5. X equals 5. So that's our x value. However, the question was asking for the measure of angle ECA. So ECA is right here, is that 14x minus 2. So I'm going to do ECA is 14 times 5 minus 2. 14 times 5 is 70. So ECA should be 68 degrees. And that's our answer there. Okay, so there we go. Moving on. This next one, so fill in the blanks using the available answer choices. Sanjay is designing a flag. Measure of angle 2 is 108 degrees. So this angle right here is 108. Then the measure of the adjacent angle, so the adjacent angle is the one next to it. So we have 2 adjacent angles here. We could say angle 1 or angle 3. Those are both adjacent. But either way, there's a straight line right here, and there's a straight line right here. So it's going to be the same measure either way because they both form straight lines. So I just have to do 180 minus 108, and that is 72. So either of these angles would be 72 here because they're next to that 108 on a straight line. So the measure of the adjacent angle will be 72 degrees. And the measure of the vertical angle, so vertical, remember vertical means the one across from it. So that's going to be the one over here. And if they're vertical like that, they're going to be the same measure. So if the one at the top is 108, the one across from it is also 108. So there we go. And that is our answer for number 3. Moving on to number 4. All right, 2 angles are supplementary. So supplementary, first of all, that means it's going to add up to 180. So equals 180. If it said complementary, that would mean it adds up to 90. Supplementary is 180, complementary is 90. So I know that whatever it is, it's going to equal 180. The measure of the larger angle is 12 less than 3 times the measure of the smaller angle. So I can say the smaller angle, that's x, and I can say the larger angle is 12 less than 3 times that. So I can say it's 3 times that x, and 12 less than that, so 3x minus 12. So it'll be x plus 3x minus 12 equals 180. Once I solve this for x, well, x is the smaller angle, so x is the smaller angle, and then to get the larger angle, which I also need, I can just plug it back into there. So I'm going to do that. So we'll solve this for x. Let's see. Combine like terms, so 4x minus 12 equals 180. Add 12. So 4x equals 192. And then do 192 divided by 4. And that is going to be x equals 48. And as I said, that is the smaller angle. So the smaller angle is 48 degrees. And then the larger angle, I could plug it back into this equation, that 3x minus 12. Or, since I know that they add up to equal 180, I can just do 180 minus 48 now. So 180 minus 48 in my calculator gives me 132. So the larger angle is 132 degrees. And yeah, if I had plugged 48 into this 3x minus 12, I would have gotten the same answer. So either way, right, 48 and 132 are supplementary, and the measure of the larger angle is 12 less than 3 times the measure of the smaller angle. So that works. Moving on. All right, question number 5. Which value of x will make line AB perpendicular to line CD? So perpendicular forms a right angle. So that means that this has to be 90 degrees. It has to be a right angle. It means this over here on the other side would also have to be 90 degrees, but it's only asked about x. It did not ask me about y, and I see on the other side that it's y and y, so I don't really care about this other side. I only care about this side over here. So I'm going to set these two, add them up, equal to 90. So it'll be 5x minus 7 plus 7x minus 11 is going to equal 90. Again, I'm doing this because I know that if they have to be perpendicular, it has to form a right angle. And I just need to figure out what x is going to be in order for this to equal 90. So add these two together. That gives me 12x minus 18 equals 90. Add that 18 to both sides. That gives me 12x equals 108. Then divide both sides by 12, and we're going to get x equals 9. So there it is, B. Okay, moving on. Number 6. Fill in the blanks using the available answer choices. Determine whether each statement can or cannot be assumed from the figure. So it's basically a true or false question. MTR, so angle MTR, okay, so that's this angle right here. And NTP, so NTP, all right, that's this angle right here, are vertical angles. So I see that MP, that seems like a straight line. RN seems like a straight line. And I can pretty much say that they are a straight line. So that means that these are vertical angles. Remember, vertical means they're across from each other when two straight lines intersect. So I'll just say true here. So that's true. They are vertical angles. These two straight lines cross and they're across from each other after that. So NTP, let's see. So NTP, it's right there. PTR. So PTR is this angle here. And they are next to each other. Again, I said RN is a straight line. They're next to each other on this straight line. And these two angles put together makes that straight line. So yes, they would be supplementary because they add up to 180. They are a linear pair. Remember that word, linear pair. Next one, angle QTR is congruent to angle PTM. So QTR is this angle here. PTM, that's a straight angle. So that's a straight line and this very clearly acute angle. That is not going to be true. So that is going to be false there. So yeah, false. And then QTP is a right angle. QTP. All right, so that they're saying that this is a right angle. It could be, it looks a little bit acute to me, but it could be a right angle. However, we cannot assume that. There's nothing in this diagram that tells me anything about them being perpendicular. So there's no way I can assume that that's a right angle. So we're going to say false. So it's true, true, false, false. Moving on. Fill in the blanks, use the rectangle, round to the nearest hundredth, it should say, I think, on yours. Well, oh, yours doesn't even say to round. Mine does. Whatever. All right. The perimeter of the rectangle, the area of the rectangle. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to figure out the side lengths. I will just find out the length of DC here. So DC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's at 0.89. And then this would be, what is that? 10, 5, I believe. So I'm going to find out the length of this side, and then I'll also do the length of side BC. So B is at 4, 2. So let's see. For DC, or CD, either way, it doesn't really matter. We'll say this is x1 and y1. That's x2, y2. And again, to find out that length, we're using the distance formula. So square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right, so CD, let's see, so x2 minus x1, so it'd be 10 minus 8 squared plus y2 minus y1, so 5 minus 9 squared. Let's see, 10 minus 8 is 2. 5 minus 9 is negative 4. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. Positive 16. And then 4 plus 16 is 20. So that means this length here is the square root of 20. And that means this length over here is also the square root of 20 because it's a rectangle. Then I can do the same with BC or AD. I'm going to use BC because I already labeled it. So for BC, let's see, that can still be my x2, y2, and then B will just be my x1, y1 now. Okay, so for BC, it's going to be square root of, let's see, x1 or x2 minus x1. So that's going to be 10 minus 4 squared. Y2 minus y1. So 5 minus 2 squared. Let's see, 10 minus 4 is 6. 5 minus 2 is 3. 6 squared is 36. 3 squared is 9. And 36 plus 9 is 45. All right, so this is square root of 45. All right, so now I need to find the area and perimeter. So perimeter, I'm just going to add them all up. So in my calculator, I'm going to do square root of 20 plus square root of 45 plus square root of 20 plus square root of 45, or just 2 times the square root of 20 plus 2 times the square root of 45. So I'll write that out. So it'll be 2 times the square root of 20 plus 2 times the square root of 45 is what I'm typing in my calculator. And let's see, that is 22.36. So 22.36 units. The area of the rectangle, so area, you multiply the two sides together. So it would be square root of 20 times square root of 45. So square root of 20 times square root of 45. Let's see, I can simplify this down because I know that with these square roots, you can just multiply inside the square roots. So 20 times 45 is 900. So that's just the same as the square root of 900. And the square root of 900 is just 30. So the answer here is 30. You could have done that in the calculator also, but you know, yeah. All right, so that's that. Yeah, moving on. A construction company is ordering more yield signs to put up before starting road work. To estimate the cost of the signs, the company needs to determine the area of each sign. Then it says to explain how to determine the area, be sure to include your calculations. I'm just going to find the area. I don't really care about the explanation here. So it's a triangle, and we know triangles for the area, the equation is going to be 1/2 base times height. So the height is going to connect that base to the top, basically, or the bottom. In this case, that's going to be 32. And the base is the one that connects at this right angle. So that would be this 36. So it would be 1/2 times 36 times 32. And now I just need to type that in the calculator. So 1/2 times 36 times 32, and I'm getting 576, and then this is in inches squared. So that's all I really need here. Yeah. Number 9. Triangle KLM has coordinates K 4, -2, L 6, -1, and M 5, 5. What would be the coordinates of the vertices of the image after a reflection in the x-axis? So a reflection in the x-axis is going to do x, y, 2, and then if it's an x-axis reflection, x stays the same. So that means it's going to stay x, and then y is going to become -y. So the y is just changing sign. So let's see, k is at 4, -2. After this transformation, the x stays the same, so it stays 4. The -2 is going to become +2, because -2 is +2. I can do the same with L and M. So 6, -1 is going to become 6, +1. And then 5, 5 is going to become 5, -5. So all that's happening is that y value is changing sign. And that corresponds with answer C here. So that would be our answer. So just remember, for an x-axis reflection, x stays the same. For a y-axis reflection, y stays the same. All right, number 10, match each type of rigid motion to its correct visual model. Translation. Okay, so the translation, you're just moving it somewhere else. That would be A. Rotation, you're turning it. That would be B. Reflection, you're flipping it. That would be C. Number 11. Quadrilateral ABCD has vertices at A 2, 3, B 8, 4, C 12, 2, and D 6, 2. Find the coordinates of the image of point B after a 180-degree rotation about the origin. So a 180-degree rotation, the rule is going to be x, y to -x, -y. That's the one where they just both change sign. And we only need to know the image of point B, not the whole thing. So point B is here at 8, 4. So after this transformation, if it's at 8, 4, it's going to become -8, -4. So that's our answer, -8, -4. All right, number 12. Kyle is creating a video game. Every time the main character jumps in the game, the image follows a translation along a vector 4, 9. If the main character is located at -5, 0, write the new location after a jump. So translation along that vector means we're going to take our x values and add 4, take the y values and add 9. So I'm taking this -5, 0. So let's see. It's at -5, 0. Take that x value, add 4. So -5 plus 4 is -1. 0 plus 9 is 9. So that's our answer here. -1, 9. Moving on. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? So rectangular prisms, it's just going to be length times width times height. So I just see 3 numbers on here. I'm going to multiply them all together, and that's going to be our answer. So I just have to do, it doesn't matter which one's length, which one's width, which one's height. It's just going to be 2.1 times 12.3 times 4.5. Do that all in my calculator. 2.1 times 12.3 times 4.5. And I'm getting 116.235. C. Okay, moving on. Sunny Beaches is a company that designs and makes beach balls. The beach ball shown has a radius of 8 inches. So here's that radius. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Here's that radius. This is 8 inches. Sure. Determine the volume of the beach ball in cubic inches, round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. So volume for a sphere, because a beach ball is a sphere, volume of a sphere is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. So all we really need to know here is r, and r is 8. So it's going to be 4/3 times pi times 8 to the third power. I'm typing that in my calculator. So remember, what I'm typing in is 4 divided by 3, and then times pi, use the pi button, and then times 8 to the third power. And that is going to give me 2,144. So 2,144.66 inches cubed. And that's that. Moving on. Sonia is putting new tile in her kitchen. She measured her kitchen to be 12 feet by 18 feet. So, she has this room. I assume her kitchen is rectangular. It is 12 feet by 18 feet. The tile she's chosen is $2.60 per square foot. What is the cost of tiling the kitchen? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of the kitchen and then multiply that by $2.60 to figure out, first of all, the square footage, and then how much it's going to cost for that square footage. So 12 times 18, do that in my calculator, is 216. So now I'm going to do 216 times 2.6 in my calculator, because I need to figure out the total kitchen is 216 square feet, and I need 216 square feet of tiles at 260 per foot. So 216 times 2.6 is 561.60 D. All right, that's that. Moving on. True or false? The area of the rectangle shown is greater than the perimeter of the rectangle shown. Okay, so the area, we just have to multiply them together. So area is going to be 6.1 times 3.6. 6.1 times 3.6 is 21.96. All right, and then the perimeter, it's going to be 2 times the 6.1 plus 2 times the 3.6. So perimeter is just 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Or you can just do length plus width plus length plus width, because I know that this over here is also 6.1 and this over here is also 3.6. So perimeter, 2 times 6.1 plus 2 times 3.6 is 19.4. So perimeter is 19.4. Area is 21.96, so area is greater. Let's see, the area of the rectangle shown is greater than the perimeter, is what the question is asking, so that yes, that is true. All right, cool. All right, number 17 here. This one is very similar to number 2 at the beginning. So in the figure, ED and EA are opposite rays. So ED and EA are opposite rays. They go different directions. So that means that this AD is a straight line. EB is going to bisect angle AEC. So that means this angle and this angle are congruent to one another there. If measure of angle CED equals 72 degrees, so CED is 72 degrees, and AEB is 7x minus 2, what is the measure of angle BEC? Okay, so just like with number 2 that we did, if I know that this is 7x minus 2, I know that this is also 7x minus 2, and then I can add them all up to 180. However, an easier thing I could do is, let me just ignore the 7x minus 2's for a second. I know that these 3 angles all have to add up to 180. And I know that that's 72. And I just need to figure out what the measure of this angle is here. I don't actually need to solve for x. And I can do that pretty easily because I know these 2 angles are the same angle. So that measure of angle BEC, we're going to call that y. So that means that this is y degrees, and this is also y degrees. So I have y plus 72 equals 180. And even though there was this x in this problem, I never have to solve for x in this problem. So I can actually like forego that here. I can like skip that step entirely. I don't have to solve for x. Don't overcomplicate it if you don't have to. So I have y, and 72 adds up to 180. So y plus y is 2y plus 72 is 180. All right, so now I subtract that 72. So it's 2y equals 108 divided by 2, and y equals 54. So, like I said, measure of angle BEC is that y. So BEC is 54 degrees. And if we had taken the time to solve for x and then plug x back into this, which would have been the same as BEC because they're congruent, we would have gotten 54 as well. So sometimes you can skip that step. On number 2, at the beginning, that would not have worked because we didn't know one of the angle measures already. We only had x's to work with. But if I knew like this angle measure here, I could have just done that exact same thing. I could have just done 2y plus whatever that angle measure is equals 180, and then solve for y, and that's all I would have to do there. All right, so that is the shortcut to number 17 there. Number 18. All right, this one seems kind of similar. Fill in the blanks using the available choices in the diagram. Line AB and ray EC are perpendicular. Okay, so that means this is a right angle. HEB is 9x. CEH is 19x plus 6. Then the value of x is, and measure of angle HEB. So this one I do have to solve for x. So I'm going to add them up to 90, because I can see that this is a 90-degree angle. I could do this plus 90 equals 180, but I don't need to do that plus 90. I just know that if this is the 90-degree angle, this is a 90-degree angle. Therefore, it's just 90 degrees. So I'm going to do 19x plus 6 plus 9x equals 90. Combine like terms, so 28x plus 6 equals 90. Subtract that 6. 28x equals 84. And then divide by 28, and we get x equals 3. All right, so x is 3, and then HEB. Okay, HEB is that 9x, so 9 times 3 is 27. That's our answer. So just pay attention to whether, if it's perpendicular, it means it equals 90. If it is supplementary, it's 180. If it's complementary, it's 90. If it's a linear pair, it's going to be 180. And if it's vertical, it equals each other. So just know your angle relationships. That is important for this test. So here we go. Two angles are complementary. So as I said, complementary means they equal 90 here. The measure of the larger angle is 6 less than 3 times the measure of the smaller angle. So we can do the same thing we did on the last one that was kind of like this. I think it was number like 3 or 4, something like that. So the smaller angle is going to be x. So x and equal 90. And this one is 6 less than 3 times that. So 3 times x minus 6. So x plus 3x minus 6 equals 90. Combine like terms. So we have 4x minus 6 equals 90. Add 6. So 4x equals 96. And that's going to give us x equals 24. So the measure of the smaller angle, therefore, is 24 degrees. The measure of the larger angle, okay, I could plug that 24 back into this 3x minus 6. That would get me that larger angle. Or I could just do 90 minus 24. So 90 minus 24 is 66 degrees. 66 degrees. So 24 and 66. Yeah. Moving on. Which statement cannot be assumed based on the diagram? So this is another similar one to that one we saw earlier. Okay, so let's see. GBE, so GBE and DBC, this angle here. So these two angles are next to each other, but there's also this other angle on this same straight line, and it's saying they're supplementary. So to be supplementary, they have to add to 180. Well, like I said, there's that other angle on the line with them. Therefore, these two wouldn't add to 180. These three, however, would. If I could add all three of them together, it would. But just those two alone will not be supplementary. So it looks like that's probably going to be the one that can't be assumed. It's probably A. Let's look at the others just to be sure. BDC is vertical to FDE. So FDE is here. BDC is there. Yes, those are vertical angles. They're across from each other. Next, EDF and EDC are supplementary. So EDF, this angle here. EDC is this angle here. These two are next to each other on the same straight line. They're the only angles on that straight line with each other. So these two angles add up to be 180 because they add up to be a straight line. So C is also true. And then CBD, so CBD is this one here. And DBG, so those two angles we were working with in the beginning, are adjacent. So adjacent just means they're next to each other. So yes, they are next to each other, but they're not supplementary necessarily. Well, they're not, regardless. So A would not be true. All the others would be. Moving on. Fill in the blanks using the available answer choices. The circumference of the circle is about blank units, and the area is about blank square units. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to find the radius using the distance formula here. And then once we find that radius, we're going to use that to find the area and circumference. So let's see, this is my x1, y1. That's my x2, y2. It really doesn't matter which one's x1, y1 and which one's x2, y2. So let's see. It's going to be the square root of x2 minus x1. So 3 minus negative 2 squared plus y2 minus y1. So y2 minus y1 squared. 3 minus negative 2, same as 3 plus 2. So that is 5 squared. Negative 2 minus 2 is going to be negative 4. So that is 5 squared plus negative 4 squared. 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 squared is 16. And 25 plus 16 is 41. So this radius is square root of 41 units. All right, now I can use that to find my area and circumference. I know that area is pi r squared, so pi times r squared, which in this case is pi times square root of 41 squared. Square root of 41 squared, well, that's just 41 because the square root and the square cancel each other out. So in my calculator, I'm just going to do 41 times pi, and I'm getting 128.81. 128.81 for the area. So let's see. Area was the second blank, so 128.81. And then circumference is 2 pi r. So in this case, that's going to be 2 times pi times the square root of 41. Just type that in my calculator. 2 times pi times the square root of 41. And I'm getting 40.23. So that is my answer there, 40.23. All right. Yeah. So that is how to do that. Just find the radius using the distance formula. Once you find the radius, plug it into your area and circumference formulas. All right, next one. Triangle EFG has coordinates -2, -4, -8, 0, and -5, 3. What are the coordinates after a reflection in the y-axis? So a y-axis reflection, it goes from x, y, and remember that y-axis means y stays the same, x changes. So this will become -x, y. So y will stay the same, x will change. So if I have E at -2, -4, well, the x is going to change to +2, the y will stay the same. So it'll be 2, -4. And there's only one that fits that criteria already. So it looks like it's going to be A. Let me just verify. So I have -8, 0 would become +8, 0. And then -5, 3 would become +5, 3. And yep, that matches up with A. So yeah, there we go. All right. Number 23. Darren is baking a 2-layer cake, and the pan for each layer is in the shape of a cylinder. So it's 2 separate cylinders that we can envision here. So there's a cylinder, and then there's another cylinder because it's 2 layers. One of them is smaller. The radius of the pan for the bottom layer is 5 inches. So this one has R equals 5. And then this one has a radius of 3. The batter for both layers will fill the pan to a depth of 2 inches. So this is 2, this is 2. Then I want to round to the nearest cubic inch. Darren needs blank cubic inches of batter. So what I'm doing is I'm finding the volume here. So my volume formula for a cylinder, what did we say it was? Hold on, let me get out my notes real quick. Yeah, so volume is just the pi r squared times h. So let's see, it'll be pi times 5 squared times 2 for this first cylinder. That tells me the lower tier, I guess. And then the other one will be pi times 3 squared times 2 because the other one has a radius of 3. And then I'm just going to evaluate each of these. So let's see, pi times 5 squared times 2 is 157.08. And then pi times 3 squared times 2 is going to be 56.55. Add those together, 56.55 plus 157.08, which is 213.63. And it says round to the nearest cubic inch, so I guess that would round up to 214 inches. So yeah, that's our answer, 214 cubic inches. All right, moving on. Surface area of the solid shown is what did I say formula for surface area was? That is the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the base. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one is our base here. We will say, I'll say the base is this side. So this side. So the perimeter of that base is 6 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8. So 6 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8 is 28. The area of that base is 6 times 8, so 48. And then the height connecting the two bases would be this h that connects my two bases there. So what I want to do, my surface area formula for a rectangular prism, ph plus 2b. So that'll be s equals 28 times 12 plus 2 times 48. So 28 times 12 plus 2 times 48 is 432. Another way you could do surface area is just do like 6 times 8, and then do 8 times 12, and then do 12 times 6, and then just do whatever that is times 2, because we know that this one, well, so this one and this one are the same, and 6 times 8 is 48. We know that this one and this one are the same, and that would be the 12 times the 6. And we know that this one and this one are the same, and that would be the 12 times the 8. So you can just do 2 of the 12 times 8s plus 2 of the 6 times 8s plus 2 of the 12 times 6s, and that would be the same thing. And that would get you 432 as well. And that's a slightly simpler way to calculate surface area. And then it's volume. So volume is length times width times height. So volume is just going to be 6 times 8 times 12. 6 times 8 times 12 in my calculator, 576. And there we go. And yeah, this is the last question. Okay. Biking. Ria is using a coordinate grid to map out how far she biked from each place in town. If each unit on the grid represents 1 kilometer, the distance Ria traveled from point K to point L to point M is blank kilometers, around the nearest kilometer if necessary. Okay, so she starts at point K, goes to point L. So from here to here, we can use the distance formula. Or I know some of you have been using the Pythagorean theorem when it's on a grid like this, which is perfectly fine, because when you see that this is 4 units and this is 3 units, and you can just find that hypotenuse of that right triangle there by doing 3 squared plus 4 squared. But either way, it's going to be the same outcome there. So let's see, distance, we'll say that's x1, y1, that's x2, y2. So it is going to be x2 minus x1, so 2 minus negative 1 squared, plus y2 minus y1, so 2 minus 6 squared. All right, so that is 2 minus negative 1 is positive 3, 2 minus 6 is negative 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 9 plus 16 is 25, and the square root of 25 is just 5. So that length there is 5. All right, now I'll do the same thing for L to M. So from L to M, that's my, nope, it's not going to be that. So I still have L as my x1, y1, M can be my x2, y2. So it'll be, let's see, x2 minus x1 is negative 4 minus 1, or negative 4 minus negative 1 squared. Y2 minus y1 is 2 minus 6. All right, let's see, negative 4 minus negative 1 is going to be negative 3 squared. 2 minus 6 is negative 4 squared. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. And again, 9 plus 16 is 25. Square root of 25 is 5. So this distance is 5. And then I have these two M and K that are on a straightaway, so I don't really need to calculate the distance here. I just need to count because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units there. All right, so to find the perimeter of this triangle, wait, she traveled from point K to point L to point M. Wait, so she started at K, went to L, went to M. So I guess she just needs to add these two numbers together. I guess she doesn't need to add in that 6 because it doesn't say she went back to point K. So I just need to add those two 5s together. So 5 plus 5 is 10. And that is how to do everything on the test. If you have questions, please ask. But hopefully that explains any questions that you have.